Hi, I'm CF3 Loyal, still staying at home every other Saturday, bringing you the latest quintessential Rangers vlog. European edition. I'm sorry. I can't help myself. So the final score in qualifying round 3 of the Europa League over in Netherlands finished Willem II 0, Rangers 4. And we have beat a very good side tonight. And it's not every day that you don't play at your best, you score four goals and you don't concede. And we rode our luck at times. Alan McGregor in particular made some top class saves, something Steven Gerrard highlighted in his post-match press conference. For me, he's just proven that he is the Rangers' #1 and should retain his place in the team against Motherwell at the weekend. Discuss that. What was the difference between tonight's game and the game at the weekend against Hibs? Well, we had those top class saves from Alan McGregor. We rode our luck at times, but the most important thing for me was we were ruthless in front of goal. And after my teacup analogy last night, tonight for me, we looked like the experienced team, well polished and very confident in our victory. A quick point on tonight's lineup. The only change, as predicted, was Alan McGregor, as I've already spoken about, in for John McLaughlin. And I say as predicted, as I said that in my video last night. But there was no other changes in the outfield, and I think that's largely down to the injuries to some key players. We potentially might have seen a different team if your likes of Jack, Aribo and Roof were fit. But it was a predictable lineup for me tonight. The bench was a wee bit weaker than I would have liked, but we didn't need the bench, and I'll come on to the players that came off the bench later on in the video. Let's talk moments of the match. The first thing I want to call out is that Borna Barisic picked up a silly booking inside the first 5 minutes. It's not the first time that we've seen Borna be exposed by pace, and he was early doors against Willem II. Silly booking for me was taken out, and it should have been a free kick to Rangers, but he professionally brought down the ongoing Willem II winger to stop a potential opportunity from Willem II. But the credit to Borna Barisic was that he then was able to play professionally for the rest of the game that he was on the pitch for and didn't pick up a second yellow card. The second thing for me is the Willem II big chances. Now, I've already spoken about Alan McGregor's big saves, but important to call them out because Willem II did have some big chances and Alan McGregor did make some key saves at the big points of the game, and I think that was crucial in our victory. And then we get our penalty, and it was a surprise to me potentially that Tav stepped up, but I'm delighted that Tav stepped up because I think over the piece, James Tavernier has proven that he is our best penalty taker. He's the most composed, and he stepped up confidently, and when the keeper moved slightly to his right, Tav then slotted it down nicely down the middle, which was a very confident penalty for his 50th Rangers goal. Well done, skipper. But one of the things that I want to call out about the penalty is that all came from a long ball from Stephen Davis, I think it was, up to Ryan Kent. And it's something that Kevin Thompson had actually commented on in his commentary alongside Tom Miller. And Kevin Thompson, for me, his commentary was insightful. I don't know what your thoughts were on Kevin Thompson, but some of the observations that he was making during the game were absolutely first class. And it was great to get that insight from a real professional, somebody who's been there and done it on the European scene for Rangers. But he was talking at that point about Rangers were gaining that success from the long balls and not from the tippy-tappy, tiki-taka, I think he called it, side-to-side passing, and nice passing at times. And it proved that that's where we got our opening goal from, and then we took control from there on in. Minutes later, I think it was 3 minutes later on, Ryan Kent then grabbed his goal, and it came from a shot from Morelos outside the box, which took advantage of a very slippy surface. The keeper then parried it, and Ryan Kent followed in. We've seen it very similar moments before on the opposite side of the pitch, where Alan McGregor spilled it, and Pavlidis, a big Greek forward that was probably their most dangerous player, put it off the bar. And I think it was Craig Moore that touched on it at half time, that the biggest difference was big Philip Hollander was all over Pavlidis to protect our goal, whereas Kent had that easy run in for the tap in. I don't know about you, but I was absolutely shouting at Morelos to play it left to Borna Barisic before he took on the shot. But it was interesting to hear Steven Gerrard say that he will encourage his players to shoot from outside the box, and it was the Livy game that he referenced that we didn't do that enough. So it was good to see that. Good to see us having the shots from outside the goal, because anything can happen, as it proved with the Kent tap in from the rebound. And Kent certainly looked like he enjoyed that moment. For me, Kent was deservedly the man of the match. I thought Ryan Kent, again, just looked head and shoulders above everyone else on the pitch. He had a swagger about him tonight, and Kevin Thompson picked him out as man of the match, and I completely agree, he was our main man. Then on to the second half. I think 2 minutes into the second half, Alan McGregor was called into action again with a big save. And I talk about big moments at key points of the game. That was a big moment. If Willem II get their goal right after half time, then their tails come up. And we've seen already that we don't necessarily handle setbacks very well. That could have set us back. Huge moment for Rangers, for Alan McGregor. Improves again why he's our number one. And then, not long after, Philip Hollander killed the game with the third goal. It was a perfectly placed header from a great assist from Ryan Kent. I'm really excited by Ryan Kent. I know I've spoken about him already. Kevin Thompson spoke about him. There's a lot more to come from Ryan Kent. If he keeps knocking back these teams that are coming in for him, and he stays at Rangers, I think we're going to see a really big player come to life. Really exciting times for Ryan Kent. Then we get the fourth goal, Connor Goldson, another great header, another great set piece. Something again that Steven Gerrard touched on post-match. I think he said that Tom Coulshaw was in there claiming the success of the set pieces. I think 3 goals, or 4 goals actually, all came from set pieces tonight. Hugely important in games like tonight to capitalise from the set pieces. There was then a handball moment where the Pavlidis had the shot. Brilliant save from Alan McGregor, followed up with the hand, and the officials caught it. Alan McGregor going absolutely tonto. I think Kevin Thompson said he was going crazy dives to the left, to the right. Then it was a Tav clearance at 90+2. The point that I want to make from those two was the players were fighting for that clean sheet. And as someone that loves to see us score goals, I also appreciate us getting a clean sheet, and to see the players fighting to get that clean sheet was absolutely brilliant to see right until the depth. Right at the depth as well. Right at the death as well. Big Philippe Hollander had another header cleared off the line. It could have been more. Ultimately, we had some chances, but they had some chances, and I think in the end, I would say that 4-0 flattered us. That was not a 4-0 game. So some special mentions, or notable mentions, as one of them's not so positive. But we'll start with the positive first. Stephen Davis. Kevin Thompson called out in the commentary. He was one of 3 players that were excellent tonight. Real leading performance in the middle of the park. I thought it was an excellent performance from Stephen Davis. And as he commanded the game in the middle of the park, you've seen Scott Arfield and Glenn Kamara really grow into the game. I think early doors, the midfield was getting passed by. When Stephen Davis started to put his foot on the ball, you've seen the confidence grow around him. So a real captain's performance from a player who doesn't hold the armband. But it's something I've spoken about previously. You don't have to hold the armband or wear the armband to be a leader on the park. Then for the not so positive comment, and it's difficult to sit here after a 4-0 victory against a very tough opponent over in Netherlands in a tough competition. But for me, once again, Yanis Hadji was frustrating. He had some good moments, but he certainly had some moments that he could improve upon. As I was sitting watching the game, I thought back to past Rangers players, and the player that sprung to mind was Thomas Buffel. You know, I would sit and watch Thomas Buffel previously, and I would be so frustrated by him at times. He would be missing, he'd be giving the ball away, but then there would be a moment of magic from Thomas Buffel that would create a goal out of nothing, or that you know, you think back to Helicopter Sunday, Easter Road, Thomas Buffel, hugely influential in the Nacho Novo goal. For me, it's going to be very similar with Yanis Hadji. There's going to be those moments, when Jordan Jones cuts back to Yanis Hadji for a pretty easy shot on goal, and he panics. He tries to put his laces through it when he should have been more composed and just kind of rolled it into the net. There's going to be those moments where he's frustrating, but I think we've got to take the good with the bad with Yanis Hadji. Then we're going to talk about the subs. So we made 3 changes. Jordan Jones, Calvin Bassey and Cedric Itten, all given valuable game time. Calvin Bassey in particular, notable mention because it was a European debut, something Steven Gerrard highlighted will be great for his development at the club. But we rested Ryan Kent ahead of a tough game at the weekend, and certainly a tough run of games when you consider we've got another European game next week. Whereas Borna Barisic and Alfredo Morelos were most likely taken off because they were on bookings, and Steven Gerrard doesn't want to mess about. Something that I think Andy Halliday mentioned in his Simon Ferry Open Goal podcast. After UFA, Steven Gerrard stopped taking chances with players on bookings. One of the players in particular I want to call out though that came on, and Steven Gerrard mentioned the oxygen that Jordan Jones provided. For me, Jordan Jones is going to be an excellent asset off the bench in games where it's wide open. You've seen it during that game. I spoke already about the Yanis Hadji opportunity. That was all created from Jordan Jones running at a tired and open defence. I've already spoken about set pieces. For me, the set pieces were the real highlight of the game and deserve a further mention. Other notable mentions, so 2 kind of off subject. Willem II fireworks. Your little party trick didn't work last night, but I tried to keep the players awake. I even noticed the fireworks before kick-off. The only fireworks were the 4 goals from the mighty Glasgow Rangers. And then last but not least, it is Ali McCoy's MBE's birthday today. Happy 58th birthday, Super Ali, one of my all-time favourite footballers. The only reason I mention it is he remains Rangers' all-time European top goal scorer because Alfredo Morelos didn't add any goals tonight. So what's next? Well, we have a very tough away trip to Fir Park against Motherwell on Sunday, who were beaten 3-0 over in Israel tonight. Hopefully they are tired from the travel home and we can take tonight's performance and feel-good factor into that match. But we know that Motherwell are a very good side. They're fresh off the back of a 3-0 victory against Aberdeen at the weekend. They're going to be right up for our game. They are a young team, so I know I've just said that they're going to be tired. I think they're going to have that youthful energy about their side, so we need to be right up for it. We've shown that when teams, so we've shown against Hibs, that when teams attack us at pace, it can sometimes throw us, especially when we're missing Ryan Jack. We don't necessarily have that protection for the back line, so we need to be right up for that. It's a big game. It's another opportunity to get 3 points. I think there's only 2 league games remaining before the international break, so let's just get the 3 points and move on to the Galatasaray game. In terms of team predictions, for me, we go with the same team that started tonight, largely because Alan McGregor was so impressive, but secondly because of the injuries that I've already touched on. Important to get through the next 3 games until the international break with full points in the league, with qualification for the Europa League, with no new injuries, and hopefully during the international break some of the players, particularly Jack, Aribo and Roof, come back from injury and contribute for the next run of games. We need to just keep on thinking short and long-term goals at this stage. And then it's qualifying round 4, Rangers versus Galatasaray next Thursday at Ibrox. Galatasaray fresh from a 2-0 victory against Hajduk Split tonight, and that's going to be a very tough game. Galatasaray have some top players. There's a lot of players in that team that you might recognise from the English Premiership, but the 3 players that are worthy of a special mention, of course, are Ryan Babel, who scored tonight in their 2-0 victory, an ex-teammate of Steven Gerrard's, of course, and once said in an interview that he would love to play for Rangers. Then you've got Radamel Falcao, who is an international teammate of Alfredo Morelos, and then you've got Arda Turan, a former Barcelona player. That's the quality that they have. It's a real shame that this is a closed-door match, because I would have loved to have seen Galatasaray, I would have loved to have seen these players, and I would love to have seen Ibrox absolutely rocking under the floodlights. Then it's a nostalgic moment for Yanis Hadji and for his family. Of course, playing against the team that his father, Georgie, became an absolute hero of football, and Yanis Hadji's birthplace. But for me, that becomes irrelevant when the game starts. The most important thing is that we qualify for the next round, which is the group stages of the Europa League. But it's been a very tough qualifying campaign. Tonight's game against Willem II was a very tough opponent. Galatasaray is next level. Is it the hardest qualifying campaign under Steven Gerrard yet? Let me know. Especially when you consider that the next round throws up a mighty tie between Dundalk and Key of the Faroe Islands. It could certainly have been an easier route to the group stages for Glasgow Rangers. But it's a big week. 3 points on Sunday, qualification for the Europa League. Let's go. Thank you very much for watching. I am CF3 Loyal. No mass tonight, but stay safe, stay staunch.